Realm of the Mad God, the Map of Solun. The city of Alagada, what was once a human supremacist kingdom, has now become welcoming to any and all races, man and beast alike. As such, they have abandoned the title of kingdom, and whoever finds themselves as elder is no longer known as a king. Anyone and everyone is welcome to do as they please in the city, unless, of course, they choose to commit a crime, in which case the citizens have full confidence the police force will neutralize the threat with ease. Although, if they are unable to efficiently handle the threat, then the SSF, Social Security Force, will find themselves getting involved. Once that happens, there is absolutely nothing to worry about. The city has strict curfews set for anyone under 20 years of age or their race equivalent. Under 10s are to be inside and to bed by 7 p.m., 9 p.m. for anyone under 15, and 12:30 a.m. for anyone under 20. Once you are 20 years of age or older, there is no curfew set, and you may be out as much as you want. During the night hours, street lamps are set to a luxurious UV purple color as an effort to make the city more pleasurable for the people enjoying the night sky, while reducing crime rate and deterring drug use. The city of Dragonlight, what was once only a home to the proud dragonborn people, became not just a place to visit, but a place to live for many exotic races. However, the dragonborns have not forgotten their pride, especially since the destination is still home to the Flame of Sika, the dying breath and soul of the dragon goddess who safely escorted them into the realm. The city's main selling point for many is its prominent stake in the entertainment industry. A part of this, catered to by the exotic citizenship, is the Red Light District. Many people make their way here to find themselves a partner for the night who can satisfy a more specific itch that most normal races can't. Despite the city's focus on entertainment in the modern day, they have not forgotten their roots in foraging. As such, the city possesses a large industrial factory powered by the Flame of Sika that primarily makes general, everyday goods as they are able to create them with extreme efficiency in a very short time frame. The Flame of Sika also acts as a perpetual energy source for the city. Not only is it efficient, but it's also green. Every year, however, on the day Sika died and gave her gift to the Dragonborn, a festival is held, the Festival of Flame, to give thanks to Sika and her fire. During this, the flame is removed and paraded around the city. As such, many non-essential businesses and even power in homes is shut down. During this, many businesses switch to a much more traditional street vendor approach to sell goods, as the festival never fails to draw in a large crowd. The Tree of Drya, a haven for druids, plants, and avian races, once plagued by the problem of the tree absorbing the majority of the natural energy in the surrounding area, leaving a considerable amount of local plant life barren, no longer suffers from such a curse, thanks to the hard work from many different individuals. As such, many more people have been able to settle around the area, not just living in the tree, but directly beneath it and in its general vicinity. In addition, many of the small villages that once populated the general area see themselves taking on a much more suburban structure. The Tree of Drya and the surrounding City of Drya area possesses the second largest population of any location, second only to the city of Alagada. The culture in the area, however, still stresses the importance of nature in both properly taking care of and cultivating it. Many homes have gardens populating the front and backyard. As such, a good majority of the population grows their own food, coming far from the old days of having to beg wealthy adventurers for even a single slice of bread. As an effect, the dry area is a major exporter of any and all agricultural goods, able to make a name for itself even internationally. If any place to settle down and live a truly quiet life, the dry area would be it. Just be cautious of the occasional giant bug or bird attack. The Magic Mountain of Korutsu, a high magic region. Mana naturally soaks into the very stone of the mountain, giving rise to the special mana and elemental crystal resource. Crystals naturally packed full of either concentrated mana or elemental effects such as fire, water, and more. Due to the status of magic and the mountain's special resources, industry has found its home in the mountains. Many quarries are created to harvest the crystals and other geological magical resources. As well, the mountain has become a favorite for wealthy businessmen, not only for the industry in the area, but the expansive view of nearly the entirety of the continent. In both magic and industry, the mountain is rich. As such, you'll find many academies dedicated to these avenues of life. Be it that you're rich enough or receive a scholarship for high prospects in the field, you can attend one of Kurutsu's lucrative magic academies, capable of helping you find your potential in the field. What were once the homes of tribes in the area are now expensive resorts and private homes for businessmen. As such, the mountain is home to many popular pastimes such as skiing, snowboarding, as well as the nation's largest duel stadium, dedicated to the sport of dueling as an effort to relive the combat scenarios of those in the past. Make your way up the ladder, and you can even face off against the two final bosses of the sport, as well as them being the elders of Kurutsu. Short and strong-headed, the dwarves chose to lock themselves away in the face of future and advancement. What problems could once be solved with hard steel and raw strength were largely a thing of the past, stuck in their ways and deterred, as any innovation they made someone else could make tenfold. They built a large door and locked the greater part of their population in. As more and more people came to learn of its existence, the dwarves began to expand into the Underdark, where they could have room to breathe. There, they could put their might and mettle to the test. A large sturdy city now resides inside the depths, sprawling, where dwarven warriors can live the glory of their ancestors. Branching into the Underdark, the dwarves were also able to discover and utilize new and interesting metals, assisting in their expansion and conquest against the beasts that lurk in the deep. The dwarves that once proudly welcomed all to their mountain hole now limit their interaction to trade. Although the greater bit of the population prefers to stick to themselves, they still conduct trade with the rest of the continent, supplying much of the metals valuable to construction and creation of much else. Only a special sort is allowed within the grand stone walls the dwarves call home, but to those few, the respect of all dwarves is carried in their gaze. The Elda Umba. Much like the mountain of Kurutsu's affinity for magic, the Elda Umba sees elemental energy flocking to its sands. In addition, the city has also been a popular host of many martial arts dojos. The sands of the Elda Umba used to be full of deadly creatures ready to pop out at any moment and consume unsuspecting travelers. Although thanks to the Oasis Queen and her army of antlions, this is an issue of the past. As is its main selling point, the Elda Umba gathers much of its economy from the natural elements and elemental users in the area, as well as the growth of elemental crystals. This provides a safe, clean, and effective energy source for any to make use of. As well, sparsely throughout the Elda Umba are oil reserves, allowing the citizens who call the city home to enjoy a rather lavish lifestyle. Another business contributing to the Elda Umba's wealth is construction. With the dwarves largely out of the picture, a good construction worker is hard to find. Such is where the antlions come in. Despite their small size, with their mandibles alone, they can carry heavy steel beams, as well extra costs need not be spent on safety regulation, as their tough chitin keeps them safe from largely any workplace hazard. As well, there are certain types of antlions that can specialize in electrical work, demolition, chemical use, and transport, and each antlion possesses a saliva that can make any sand as hard as concrete. This wonderful service is all thanks to the elder of the Elda Umba, the Oasis Queen, Queen of the Antlions, Queen of the Desert. As she commands, so the antlions do to completion. The Lovert Forest. Even today the forest still thrives, even more than man in the area, as the area has been made a reserve. No greater business or industry is to be established within it without the approval of the locals. Not even the trees may be carved into without receiving a fine. Although hunting is allowed, so long as you only hunt designated animals, given you have the correct permits. The people here enjoy a quiet, peaceful, natural way of life. Only original residents may settle in the area, although some exceptions are made for friends and family. What little population still remains of elves and half-elves primarily call the forest home, in tandem with any others that live in the area. Once upon a time, the locals would shut out any outsider, But today, so long as you respect their rules and way of life, you are allowed to stay within the forest. Despite the mostly quiet and peaceful way of life for many locals, some do still take up arms. Within the forest are many exotic creatures that fetch a high price in a variety of markets, and so poaching is a prominent business to worm its way into the forest. As such, locals may see to it that this stops, whatever means necessary. To the locals, both plants and animal life is sacred and is to be treated with respect. As such, many people from the area find themselves with a great affinity towards careers that may involve plants and animals. The Bayat Gol, a large river spanning throughout the region of Ashinde that draws waters in from the surrounding ocean. In some parts, the tide was already incredibly low, allowing for towns to be established on the side of the river. Although largely, the tide would even out in part due to the water recession and the creation of the slime filtration hydroelectric plants. Largely, the river serves as not only a means of travel, but a source of food and water for the people of Ashinde, although this came with a complication. As the river draws in its waters from the ocean, that makes the water within it salty seawater. As you can imagine, this isn't so good for drinking and growing crops, and so many people have had to get creative in means of filtering the water. This was a problem largely resolved with the creation of the SFHP, the slime filtration hydroelectric plants. The body of a slime can naturally take in the minerals in water, such as salt, and output clean fresh water. The slimes enjoy this process and require it to clean themselves and maintain their bodies. Equipped with this knowledge, the genius Roswell proposed a plan to create the slime filtration dams. Everyone agreed this would be a good idea and allowed slimekind to integrate into society, along with the implementation of these dams. Later, with the rise of industry and electricity, the dams were converted to hydroelectric plants in the 1880s. Through this, the waters would in time begin to level out, allowing more people to settle along the base of the river. Due to the beautiful scenery of the river, many hotels and resorts are established along the river, especially due to their ease of transport to many other locations around the region. Additionally, many independent scientific research labs and pharmaceutical companies have established businesses along the river, again, due to its ease of transport and the safety provided by the canyon shape of the river. Ralros and the Golden Glow City. Once a desert work colony, where fewer things than hard labor and death existed, now a place of leisure and relaxation, largely a city of retirement. The ultimate symbol of humanity's persistence and ingenuity, Golden Glow City, nestled nicely in the harsh deserts of the greater Ralros region. Named for how the sands so beautifully reflect the shining lights of the city, so bright it can even shine through a sandstorm at night. Golden Glow. The harsh work days of the past are now no more than strolls on the beach, casino trips, and bar runs. Whilst that's what it says on the pamphlet, it's not entirely true. It's not as if everyone here does nothing but sleep and eat all day. Although such can be said for the greater part of the population, there are still those who work the gun lines. The citizenship of Ralros is largely made up of older citizens, looking for a nice place to retire, as well as the warforged who were able to call the city home are still able to, no longer as guards and enforcers, but rather as caretakers, bartenders, and casino floor staff. To add, there are some warforged who bide their time making more of their numbers, or even what some would consider upgrades. Outside of the city lies only a few small towns, much of the land still unpopulated. As such, travel throughout the region is still dangerous, as dozens of monsters make their homes just below the sand. Some people, however, test their might, but mostly luck, out on the sands, hoping that one or more of the beasts are guarding ancient treasures. The region of Nassau. Traditional, tribal, protected by the nature around them. The people of Nassau have and always will be stuck in their ways, but that doesn't mean they can't modernize. Rather, that just means they develop themselves by incorporating the nature around them. Far less advanced than the locations around them, Nassau was much considered tribal. However, with the turning of the modern age, that didn't mean they would be forced to modernize themselves. Instead, they built around the jungle they call home. They structured themselves around their already established cultures. This gives many citizens a more personal attachment to the town they are born in. To add, they let the plant life around them grow wild around their towns, giving a comfortable, overgrown aesthetic. Nassau chose not to make any cities, but instead larger towns that take heavily after the tribes that individually founded them. The most well-known of these towns being Volkopraz. Closest to being the middle of the region, Volkopraz was founded by a tribe of Amazonian warriors who worshipped the spirit of a great wolf. As well, many of the members of the tribe had their own wolf or direwolf to assist them. Obviously, they aren't an Amazonian tribe that shuns away any man anymore, but they still teach the importance of strength, leadership, and heritage to their women. As for the men who find themselves taking residence here, they are treated largely indifferently, although it is customary to pray for the pelvises of any man who finds themselves as one of the locals' husbands. The second best known of these towns is known as Stervicia. Heavy metal plates, big rocks, entire trees, anything and everything is a workout item around here. The opposite of Volkopraz is they prioritize the female form. Here, the male form is kept in peak condition. From birth, diets are put in place to throughout life mold the general population, not just male, into peak performance. Number one in most sports countrywide. If it's reliant on pure strength and athleticism, chances are the dust on the trophies can be traced back multiple decades. Oftentimes, private companies will send in scouts just to find a good bodyguard. Even the military is fiending at the opportunity to recruit someone from Stervicia. Despite what most might see as a harsh training regimen, the people of Stervicia are generally laid back and welcoming to anyone willing to improve their physical form. There's just one rule: never skip cardio. The smallest and most traditional of the towns, Awan, finds itself resting atop mountain spires, not all too far from Kurutsu itself. The people here once referred to themselves as the White Ones, as they would bask their skin in ash and spend their time meditating in the sun's light. This, however, is a practice reserved for the most traditional of citizens. Many of the citizens that find themselves taking residence here do still practice a calm, meditative way of life. Little to be owned, little to be used. Through this, many citizens believe they can achieve a higher form of enlightenment. Some believe, rather, that it can lead to a better afterlife. What exactly may be the result of the practice matters little to those who find themselves here. The goal may be different, but the means are largely the same, and so in life, they may as well take kindly to each other's company. Considered the capital of Nassau, Vrede stands as a symbol of peace in an otherwise violent land. When nature runs wild, every day is largely a fight for any creature that may attempt to survive in such a land. Vrede found a way to avoid the violence, found a way for peace to rise and stand so tall they could establish themselves all the way at the back of the land, exposed on all sides, as they had no trees or other plant life to cover them. A peace so prevalent, they were able to convince the other tribes to find a way to work with one another, and in time, even convince them to unite with the rest of the continent. Politicians, doctors, the message of good health and peace is spread out by the actions of all the citizens of Vrede. Whilst they are not objected to violence, they prefer to not directly involve themselves in it, and if possible, put an end to it. Stay close to the towns. The wilds here are still very much wild. One wrong step could see you stepping in any number of creature dens. Anything from giant snakes to giant wolves to any giant creature ready to snag your leg for daring to enter its territory. Some urban legends are even passed around that you might just find yourself disappearing to some underground land, lurking just beneath the grounds of the jungle. Not much is known about the phenomenon, but if you hear high-pitched laughter of any kind, it's probably time to start running. The region of Laufenau. The people of Laufenau haven't always seen eye to eye. Despite being much the only place the beast folk could take refuge, they still found reasons to fight amongst themselves. Historically, this led to a devastating civil war that saw the majority of citizens retreating to the larger cities, whilst all the towns were nearly completely leveled. However, in recognition that everyone else, different races of man and of beast, could find a reason to work with each other, they truly came to realize any disagreement they may have amongst themselves is entirely adolescent. Generally, each town and city in Lothendel is largely grouped together due to their similar nature, one location not all too dissimilar from the other than what beastfolk species may be best suited to live in it. The people of Lothendel express strong beliefs in honor and camaraderie, much considered knightly principles. As such, the primary base for the nation's military force is based here, so that the ideals favorable to a soldier may be naturally instilled. Lothendel caters not only to the soldiers, but to all its citizens and their individual needs. There is something for any type of beastfolk, whether they take more to the jungles, plains, colder climates, warmer climates, and even the ocean's waters. There is a town or a city dedicated to best serving the unique individual needs of each unique species of beastfolk. The seas. Surrounding Solun are 2 seas. Historically, travel through these seas has been limited for variously many reasons, but today, travel is free and accepted. So go out there, get on a cruise, take a fishing trip, go diving, explore these waters to your heart's content. Anybody living more than 300 years ago would have, and likely did, kill for the opportunity to leave the continent. The glistening sea of Ulliden. Coral shallows, water so blue one could believe it was mana, a beautiful sight all around. However, long ago, the sea was once filled with all manner of horrible creatures, ready to slaughter anything that so much as skimmed the surface. This led to more problems than just death to those who crossed the waters. It entirely halted anybody from leaving the continent from this side. If you wanted to safely cross, you'd need something fast and airborne. Largely something of this description was unavailable to the population. However, thanks to the actions of the greatest generation, this is entirely a problem of history, just a passing wave in this ocean. The Avarice Sea. Dark, mysterious, chilling, a complete opposite to the almost inviting nature of the Sea of Ulliden. Although unlike Ulliden, the sea held no monsters, besides the ones you would find anywhere. But the paranoia was enough to dissuade many from crossing it. Rather, many people chose not to cross it simply out of instinct. The Sea of Avarice gave off a foreboding feeling. Its waters were deep. Even its shallow was no less than 12 feet deep. On top of that, it seemed almost to expand infinitely. Any void sent to find something out in those waters either came back empty-handed or didn't come back at all. However, today, we have the proper means and resources to be able to make such voyages across Avarice, but the chilling feeling it gives off has yet to fade.